Hey, Rexy, you sure do got a nice setup in here. Well, thank you very much, Earl. I call it my living room. You know, when I get famous like you, I get all YouTube big time. I'm gonna get me a living room. Well, Earl, I think we'll all be praying for that now, won't we? Ladies and gentlemen, my cousin Earl has stopped by for a visit just as I was preparing the show. So please, humor him, I guess. Yeah, humor me. Make me funny. Make you funny? Hey, you know, ha 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 ha. Earl. You see, Earl, he's from, well, he's not from around here. Yeah, and I'm proud of it. Okay, Earl. Well, tonight, Earl, we're going to be talking about sub-drops. Do you know what that is? Yeah, that's when you're on a job site and then you walking along with your sandwich and then you trip and then it falls in a bucket of junk compound. No, Earl, that's not. Well, yes, that is. It's a drop of a sub, but it's not. I'm gonna have to stay tuned to find out, aren't I? Yes, Earl. You and all of the fine ladies and gentlemen are just going to have to stay tuned and find out what a sub-drop is, and more importantly, how to deal with one on this episode of Sir Approves. Hello, my darlings. This is Rex Regine, but you can call me Sir. I run the Tumblr blog Sir Approves. That's one word with no hyphens, as we have mentioned once or twice before. You will have to have a Tumblr account, and you will have to have Safe Search off to find me, because I am a very naughty boy. So, this question I received, and it is an important one. And of course, my cousin Earl is still here, and I think he's raiding my fridge at the moment. It's an important one, and the question comes to me anonymously, which I would like to say again that if you would like to have your name mentioned by these very lips, I will have to know it, and you will have to tell me that you would appreciate having a little shout out on the show. As it is, this comes to us anonymously. It says, tips on how to handle dom drops and sub drops, ? Which is sort of a declarative statement, but there is a question mark at the end, so I think I get the picture. Although, there is nothing about how to handle gum drops, which is equally as important. Now, I'm going to tell you, first of all, what a sub-drop is not, and I'm going to refer to them as sub-drops only from here on out in the show, and we will tell you why. Yes, of course, Earl, and I, once he's done eating all of my chips. Now, what a sub-drop is not is breaking up with a dominant. A lot of people think the term sub-drop means being dropped by a dominant. Basically, a breakup. That is a different matter altogether, which I would be happy to address. I'm not sure exactly what this anonymous person means, but I'm going to tell you what the actual... we're going to frame this whole episode on what an actual sub-drop is, and not breaking up with a dominant, or when a dominant, leaves you for dead or something like that. Now, a sub-drop is when you are done with a scene, which I'm using that terminology because it's widely accepted. I much prefer session rather than scene. I think scene sounds too much like a scene in a play or a movie where you've only acted the parts. Session is something very intimate, and of course everyone listening knows that I prefer the very intimate approach to all of my relationships. So, you are done with a session, and you have to go, or she has to go, and it's, hours later, that sort of thing. And the person all of a sudden becomes depressed, feels very low, unloved, just a general sort of bluish haze comes over the person who's going through the drop. Now, the reason I'm not going to call them Dom drops is a number of, it's not a number. Well, it is a number. 2 is a number, but for 2 reasons, I will not call them Dom drops. One, nor will I call them gumdrops. One is that dominants do not often experience the same level of intoxication of emotion and chemicals that subs do. It's not that it's impossible, but it's not often the case, because whereas the sub is experiencing this wonderful freedom of total release from all thought, the dominant is still generally, if he's any good or she's any good, is on point and constantly thinking throughout the session. So that release isn't there, and the endorphins aren't there. And the other reason I will not call them Dom drops is because dominants are too damn proud to admit that they're depressed about something. Let's just face it. You wouldn't have a Dom even tell you that they were going through a Dom drop, even if they were. Now, what it is that during this session, the emotions have run so high, the endorphins are so high, the serotonin levels are so high, you're basically on a high throughout the session, which of course is a big part of why we do it, why we enjoy these things. We get a kick out of them. We enjoy the intimacy, and of course the sub-drop can be more dramatic the more committed or loving the relationship is, because the endorphins are that much more intense. The whole experience is that much more intense. And then when it's gone, you're dealing with a chemical crash. This is not dissimilar to, let's say, being addicted to a drug, heroin, alcohol, some sort of thing like that. When you're facing a kick, that's when you're trying to quit the drug, and you know that what's happening is that all your chemicals in your body are rearranging to come back to normal. When you've been an alcoholic for a very long time, your body has no normal chemistry. It doesn't understand its normal chemistry. So when you're going through these withdrawals, it's your body adjusting to being normal again, to being the way that God intended it to be. Now, much like that, a subdrop is a crash after a high, basically. And it's quite as simple as that, as obscenely emotional, and please don't think I'm detracting from it at all. As obscenely emotional as it feels, the reality is that you're dealing with a chemical issue. You're dealing with a chemical withdrawal from something that you quite like.
You mean like if you was like drinking a bunch of beer and then all of a sudden you ain't got no beer, like that kind of thing?
Earl, this is kind of a moment I'm having with my audience right now.
You got any more chips?
Earl, you carry your gun in your truck, yes?
Well, of course I do, America.
All right. I saw a squirrel outside, and I believe that squirrel said that he slept with your sister.
Well, God damn it, I'm gonna let a squirrel talk about my sister.
Yes, why don't you go handle that, Earl?
Yeah. I'm gonna go talk about my sister.
I think he's gone. Okay. Now, you have a sub who is dealing with this crash. Now that's the main thing that's happening. The emotions, and I'm not saying that the emotions are not real, but we all know that our emotional state at any given moment isn't necessarily real. It's very chemically driven, and it's very driven by circumstance, and our emotions can be very misleading as to what's really going on. And you mix that in with the chemicals, and then you go into this sort of big depression. Now, the next step, of course, is how are we going to handle a drop? Well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to talk to the dominant. Male, female, we've been through it. Maybe it's a transgender person is your dominant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The dominant role is still the dominant role, no matter what the gender of the person is. So you're going to talk to the dominant, and you're going to tell them that you're going through this. One, because you should be trusting them with these things. You should be loving them with these. I think I just heard a gunshot. I don't think he'll be coming back anytime soon. So you should be in a loving relationship where you can share these things with this person. And if you're not, well, then you shouldn't be fucking them. I mean, that is the bottom line. I for such a dirty bird as I am, and as much as I love a good romp, I just, if you cannot talk to somebody, if you don't have a relationship that is strong enough to discuss your emotions with someone, you should not be fucking them. It makes me nuts. Sex is a precious gift. Your sexuality, darling, listen to me. Your sexuality is a precious gift. And I know that you want to get your rocks off. I know that you do. But it's precious. And if you can't, just simply text somebody, hey, I'm struggling right now with something. Do you have any words of advice? Do you think maybe next time we could hold each other a little longer? If you can't even do that with that person, you should not be fucking them. Okay, now that's out of the way. So first you're going to talk to your dominant. You're going to take into account their wisdom. They are dominant over you for a reason. You've given yourself to them for a reason. So let them do their job and take care of you. You are also going to take stock of yourself. You're going to realize what is going on, that there is a chemical issue happening right now, and that the emotional issue that you're facing is largely a part of this chemical issue. Not exclusively, but there is a large part. Right? For example, we could say, excuse me, I just had a drink. We could say any day of the year we're perfectly fine, but on this particular day, someone that we love very much passed away. Well, the day itself is not any different. It's not one bit different than any other day. Everyone at work was the same. You wore the same. You wore your favorite sweater. You wore your favorite blue jeans or your favorite sweater. Everything is exactly the same and everything is perfect. But something in your mind changes everything about the day. Do you see? So our mind has a huge hand in this. So we need to take stock of ourselves and say, yes, okay, I do understand that part. This is largely because of the chemicals that I'm dealing with right now. Now, let's talk about the chemicals. I'm not a chemist. I'm not a doctor. So do your own damn research. I am washing my hands like Pontius Pilate at the moment. Well, I mean, he's dead now, not like he's washing his hands at the moment. I'm at the moment washing my hands like he did 2,000 years ago. So it's different. I want you to take, I don't want you to, I am suggesting to you and do your own research. When you are dealing with a sub-drop, I would like you to get some 5-HTP. It's going to help with your serotonin levels. I want you to take the 5-HTP, I believe about 1,000 milligrams. I believe. So do your research on that. I believe they come in 1,000 milligram tablets and capsules. You want to take that, and you want to take that with something sweet. And I don't mean, the love of your life. I mean, you want to take it with a piece of chocolate or a cup of hot chocolate or maybe a Coke or something. What's going to happen is that the sugar will spike your insulin. The insulin will carry it to your brain, where it will quickly help you produce and turn into serotonin, making you feel better. It's not a happy pill, but I take it quite regularly myself. Because I am a miserable old fuck. That's just all there is to that. And, I take it quite regularly to help with my serotonin. I don't have mood problems. I just know that, every now and then I need a little boost of serotonin. Most of you know that I have a very good business going, and I have a lot of stress. And my time is very valuable. And I use 5-HTP quite regularly. But in this particular case, I want you to take it as needed with something sweet, and that's going to help your chemicals balance out. I would strongly recommend with it taking a B100 complex. Another thing that's going to help set your brain right. You're dealing with a shock wave of negative chemicals, of stress-producing chemicals, of chemicals that are going to produce anxiety and depression, and you're trying to neutralize those. And don't be afraid to give your body the support that it needs, right? When you need food, you eat food. When your brain chemicals have gone all wonky, well, then take something to straighten them out. It's as simple as that. It's just a little boost. You're not going to die. You're not going to get hooked on 5-HTP. I just strongly recommend it to deal with the chemicals. And then the issue of the heart is the issue of the heart, and that's something, unfortunately, that I can't reach into you and help you with very much. I can only give you some words of advice. Don't take yourself too seriously. You will live a miserable life by doing so. Don't be afraid to talk to your dominant. Don't be afraid to message me. If you're comfortable with that, that is exactly what I'm here for. You can reach me on Kick, you can reach me on Instagram, you can reach me on Tumblr, although I will admit that my Tumblr messages I am not as I don't check as often as Kick. If you do want to get hold of me, Kick Messenger, Sir Approves, is the best, very best way to do so. And I would be more than happy to help, even if I'm not your dom. I still understand the process, and I do have a heart for helping people, and it would be my pleasure. And also know that it won't last. A subdrop will not last. Everything will be fine. If you don't take the chemicals, if you don't take the pills to help with your chemicals, if you don't reach out to your dom, maybe just have a cry. It's okay. Even those tears will reduce the stress levels chemically in your body. Just know that it won't last. It's not something that's going to stick around forever. And it's one of those things where you need to change your mind. And you need to really go for that. Don't be sad that it ended. Be glad that it happened mentality. And don't be afraid to say to your dom, I really need more aftercare. I really need, if we're going to set this up, I need more time. I need an hour after we're done with our session to just be with you and to just talk with you and to let my chemicals come down in a time frame that's suitable. Lots of people do. I know a lot of actors, and they call it a post-show crash. And it's the same thing. You're out there in the limelight, and people are clapping for you, and all the work you put into a thing, and all the bonding, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. Then the set goes away, and that's it. It's just gone. It was like you were living... Blah, 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 blah. Oh, back to grammar school for me. It's like you were living in a fantasy, and now that fantasy is gone, and you're back in real life. It's the same chemical sort of situation. So just know that it won't last. It's not altogether real. Our emotions are, especially our depressions, our fears, our anxieties, are what we have made them to be. We empower them. And maybe that's a show for another time. But you think about that. And if you do have anxiety issues and all, don't message me about how, well, my anxiety is real, and this is all real, and you're an awful person. I'm not an awful person. I love you very much, and I'm sorry that is something that you are dealing with. Do not think for 1 second that I am knocking it or, telling you that you're making things up. That's not what I mean. What I mean is that once we get a hold of our minds, once we strengthen our minds, we can do anything, and we can conquer anything. And when you're dealing with a subdrop, it's because your mind has made it bigger than it is. It's as simple as that. With so many other things in life, it's quite the same. So, that is how we deal with a subdrop. If you do have any questions, please feel free to message me. I think Earl got his squirrel, and hopefully we won't be hearing from him again. Well, not for a long time, because the police probably picked him up for shooting up the neighborhood after a squirrel. Well, there's all that business. I haven't decided what I will be handling next week. Questions come in quite regularly, and I try to pick one that's, something that's sort of across the board, or something that a lot of people can really get into, and then answer other questions on a more personal level. But we'll see where the week takes us. Thank you all very much for listening. I do thank you for your time. I thank you for your subscriptions. I thank you for your likes. I thank you for your comments. They do mean a tremendous amount to me. And just so you know, I've been thinking about monetizing the channel, but, I don't do this for money. I do it for naughties. And that's what really counts. My darlings, all of my best and all of my love, sir.